All right, welcome to the Tuesday lunch break. I'm Mary, your host, the Energy Alchemist. And I'm so excited to be here today with you guys because we have such an amazing human. I mean, we always have amazing humans, right? We always have amazing women. However, today I'm just really excited to share someone with you who is doing something that she just has a very unique and special way about doing it. And you can see this as you follow her, as you listen to her voice, as you are surrounded by her beautiful energy. So we have the amazing Brittany Williams. And Brittany Williams is, for those of you who have no idea who this wonderful woman is, she she is a Manny Gen. So if you're not familiar with that language, that's human design speak. We're going to talk about that more. But that means that she has a ton of interest. And it also means that as having a ton of interest and a lot of passions, she's actually dove into those passions, which means that she has the capacity to share those passions with you. And she's not just sort of like a one narrow sort of view. So today we're talking about empowered selfies. We're talking about why that matters. And if you know me, if you've been hanging out in the group and paying attention to the somewhat confronting and triggering questions I ask you, like I'd like you to spend some time looking in the mirror for 3 to 10 minutes. Who's up for the challenge?
Yes.
This is going to be interesting for you. So, Brittany, thank you so much for coming in here and sharing your wisdom with us today. Would you share with us your bio, please?
Yes. Thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Well, I'm the Brittany R Williams. I go by D. There's a story behind that, but the baseline of it is a sexuality piece. And that is a part of the clarity of what I do is I have many different interests. I'm an amazing strategist. I am a business guru. I can handle it from all sides, but my true passion, my soul's mission is to see women, identifying folk, really be able to step into their power, show up their true essence. And that can mean something different for each one of us. And I believe that that story is unraveled when we come out of our linear way of being, excuse me, our linear way of being when it comes to our sexuality, our sensuality, our pleasure, and which is a huge part of our identity, but come into a place of regenerative sexuality where we're starting to use those lower energies, the most primal parts of us, the truly the wisest parts of us, to come back to us and serve us, and taking it off of a stage of performance and really be able to tap into desire, be able to tap into a different aspect of pleasure that is not performing. And that is the baseline and the foundation of everything I touch. I I am a transformational embodiment coach and a sex doula, and I realized when I stepped into the work of transformation and embodiment that I could not do it without the sexuality piece. No matter who came to me for what reason, it usually boiled down to an experience that a person not only had or past experience, but it's an experience that lingered on, and an experience that continued regardless if it was good or bad. I realized that I wasn't able to do transformation without sexuality. I couldn't do pleasure without sensuality. And that was something that had so much resistance wrapped around it. And so I decided to step up and tackle the resistance in a very creative way. And that's the beauty of what I do with the selfies, is it is seeing yourself first. It's truly tapping into or healing that creator wound, and being able to nurture yourself in a place where you can become your own muse, where your inspiration, your aspirations, your motivation is something that boils up from the inside of you and continues to serve you from this really heart-centered place.
That's so beautiful. And I really feel that anyone who literally is in your energy can really feel that. You know, it's I don't know you guys, I don't know Brittany in person really, right? We were in a program together, but by watching her and listening to her, when I'd see her pass by sharing some of the things that were going on for her, and then I'd hear from the women who got to participate in this selfie experience, it was just so beautiful. Because one of the biggest things in this particular group, and why I really wanted to bring her in, even though I've already said this, is that we don't see ourselves clearly. We give ourselves so much shit. We criticize every part of ourselves. And as we start to learn how to love ourselves, which is such a journey in and of itself, as we learn to do this, there are different ways in which to start to unhook and unlock and get in there versus just saying, yes, I love myself. And yes, I'm doing, I'm doing the affirmations, or I'm journaling, or I'm meditating, or I'm doing all the things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just takes you to step out of yourself, right? This idea of a sexy selfie, right? Like, oh my God, like, what does that mean? So can you tell us a little bit about this? Because I've seen a little bit, and even for me, I was like, oh my gosh, getting on a call with a bunch of people, right? And having her kind of tell us how to get into our poses, and possibly other people seeing me, probably not. Like, I know there's not a lot of privateness in this too, but like, that's really confronting. Like, even just being around other women, when in theory we should be able to be supported by women. So can you just share a little bit about this process and what you've noticed by running these and like holding space for women?
Yes. Well, I can tell you from the birth of this, it came out of my own lived experience of wanting to see myself, and not really just simply seeing myself, but know thyself. And I always tell people, I was like, this was born out of a prayer that said that where I stopped as a mom, as a professional, as a friend, as a woman, and I had this prayer that just said, God, I want to see me the way you see me. And it was an immediate, I guess, lift to basically a zoom out feature, a feature of coming into observation of self and really getting down to the real bare bones of me and who I was, and being able to see myself. And that was the experience that I wanted to share with other women, because I remember before what life was like before. And so as I started to share this experience, I shared this experience as an activation. And this activation is very intentional, like everything from the language that I use, because I am aware that no one comes to me ready. I'm aware that when you start to tap into and look at and try to know your body is where your shit went to hide. Your sexuality is where all your shit went to hide. Your sex is where it all went to hide. And so someone telling you to uncover, all of a sudden I knew that I would be creating an environment where people would not only unravel and take off some of the stories, some of the conditioning, some of the things that were covering them up and causing them to hide, but I was also unleashing and opening them up to actually handling the things that were hurting them, handling the things that was dimming their vision of themselves, handling the things that were coming up and telling them stories that just were not their truth anymore. I knew that I would be doing that. So I'm very intentional with every piece of it, from how much light I have in a room, from, the people that can be in my house at the time that I'm doing it, because that lived experience, I knew how it felt for me. I said I did my first naked edition after I had my second kid, but I remember the one that caused me to say, yes, I'll share it, was the one that I actually did on the mountaintop. And it was such a liberating experience, and that was the energy that I wanted. That was the activation that I wanted for other women to experience. And so yes, I tell people, I was like, no one comes to this class with makeup and ready to go. This is not a boudoir photo shoot. And the part about it that I love about that is that people come to me in their rawest form, realest form, how they show up every day, and get to see themselves that way. They don't have to see themselves a decorated version of themselves. They get to see the real them, and being able to fall in love with yourself without any extra adornment, without any external things, being able to fall in love with the parts that you were that you were resistant to before, that is an incredible gift to give yourself. And it's something that keeps serving you over and over and over again. And so that's why I call this activation. And I usually intended, I'm like, it's 6 months. I only run this twice a year. And I do a little bonus for people who are asking, but the reality is that the intention that I set is usually exactly what it is, exactly what it is. And so I usually get photos, I get emails 4 or 5 months after this program where it's still working. And so that energy, that healing aspect of this session is still working. And the fun part about it is that it keeps evolving with you. And so
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, who wouldn't want this, right? Like, who wouldn't want this? And I really appreciate you pointing out the thing, like, nobody comes ready to do this shit. Like, nobody's like, yes. And if they are, it's like it's more of a bravado probably, right? Because
yeah.
it's like, okay, yes, like I did come adorned. I'm too scared to even let it,
Yeah.
And so I love that there's a just a welcoming of like, hey, just show up. And just showing up is like an act of rebellion, right? Against all the negative bullshit that you've ever either told yourself, people have told you, and you allowing yourself to step into seeing the truth of who you are. And I love that there's this very tangible method. And I love that you have created this, like, I'm certain that the women who come together who do this feel a sense of this collective strength, courage, essentially an unraveling of a bunch of crap, and like sharing and helping and letting it go. And I just love that there's so many things out there in which we can do to know thyself, to like, and I love what you said, this prayer to God, like, I want to see myself the way you see me. And coming to that level, and knowing that there's just so many ways that you can get there, and that this could be the way that really connects you, right? And it can be fun and like the sisterhood and women, and I don't know, I love it. What would you say, since you started doing this, like, what's the most, like, wow, I didn't know this would happen when I did it, like, oh, this is so exciting, I had no idea?
I said, I think I'm probably gonna cry a little bit because so when I started this as me opening up to the people who wanted it. And in the last session that I did, it was probably the most realization of the layers and generations and ancestral work that's happening in there. When I had a woman who was about 62 years old in the group. And at the end of it, we have integration time where we share. And she just, the words that she had was, "What have I been doing all my life?" And so, and she went on to just talk about her mother and how her mother lived and what she had taken from that experience of this level of perfection and this level of denial of the parts of you that didn't show up to this ridiculous standard. And the idea that she was just like, and I'm thinking, she's thinking out loud, and she's just like, I have to talk to my daughter and just let my daughter know about this experience that I had, because I want forgiveness if I have projected anything onto her, which was projected to me. And so in that moment, which it wasn't the first time I've heard that, I've heard it many times, but it was just a really real moment that touched me, that made me realize that if I showed up and did this and I held this space and it was only for one person, that was good enough for me, because it was generations that were going to be healed. It was not only for the person that stood in my presence, but it was for the legacy of self-love and self-care that she was cultivating for her family, and also healing this lineage that had been so traumatized and abused, and that was relearning. And so it was I became so satisfied, and I became so humbled in that moment, realizing that I have never been in my business for money, people, fame, but always been here because my heart's cry and my mission is to see people move from trauma to tranquil in their life, and allow all the benefits of that to come back in, to allow all the benefits of the play, the ease, redefining success for them, to allow those things to be my priority and my focus, and not necessarily all the doing it right and the vanity matrices. And it just made me realize that that things were happening the way that they needed to happen, that the spaces are very intuitive and they make shifts. Usually none of the sessions are the same, because collectively these people get together and they have an energy and they have a need and they have a want and they have something that they want to unfold collectively. And to know that these sessions get to be intuitive, they get to be a revolving evolution. In this experience gets to be a evolving a revolution, a revolving evolution, and that this gets to be carried further than just that space, that container, that room that they're in, that it's being carried out and shown, and the work itself is showing up for the people that attend. That was the thing that touched my heart the most, and I think it's been like a month since I cry every time I think about it. So.
I just love this, and we've got some comments like, I love this. I often think about how I've learned from my mother lack of self-love, acceptance. Have I passed this on to my daughters? It's sad to think about, right? And obviously, like when you are in a moment like this, we could be sad to think about it, or you could be like,
Yeah.
now it changes. Now I can learn to let this go. I can learn to fully accept myself so that I can share this with my kids. So the one thing I want to say before I let you go on, because it's just so wonderful listening, is that, this group and what I'm all about is like owning your magnificence, right? Stepping into the fullness of you so that nobody, like everybody else, sees that and somehow like gets the hint, right? Like the energetic hint, like I get to just be me.
Yeah.
Right. And as I get to be me, other people will own their own stuff and get to be them. And it's like we're lifting each other up, especially as women, right? Because we've been taught by the patriarchy. I always feel weird saying that. It's like not my own language. Like I don't talk about the patriarchy, but like
not me.
We've been taught by the patriarchy to kind of be like that women are catty, that like we have to fight about things, that we have to be competitive, that we have to judge each other. And so having this instead, yes, or not trust each other, or, be, I don't know, not even be able to be who you really are in front of others because you don't know how you're really going to be perceived, being honest, being truthful. And so this idea of just being like, this is who I am, and starting to just really open yourself up to it and allow it. And as you do that, as you said, we both do work that helps people heal from the inside out generationally, right? And so this idea of healing something that has been so entrenched within you, and not just within you, but passed down, it's like, right? Like, it's just so exciting. Okay, so let me ask you another question. You can speak to anything that you like. But so we have this amazing experience of, someone in her 60s being able to share something so powerful. What's another sort of delightful, sort of astonishing, or like a real like, that's exactly what I knew what was going to happen when I'm stepping into holding space for these women and doing these selfies, right?
Yeah.
So share whatever speaks to you.
I think the thing that was kind of like a check off the box, like, yeah, that's exactly what it was supposed to do. It's so many things. But I believe that the thing that probably the most impressive one to me, or the one that I get the most excited about, is when I get that feedback that someone was just like, I created my entire program with such clarity and ease, and I actually had fun doing it. And I was just like, check. Just, that's just a tick mark in my box, because this was here to awaken the creator in you, and to also seeing yourself first, being able to be the first one to notice, the first one to know that you're worthy, the first one to know that you're enough, or that you're everything, because I don't even use enough anymore. I just use everything. Uh, being the first one to be convinced. Yes, that's what it does. It awakens the creator in you. So of course you sell the first thing. Of course you create the new thing. Of course since I've done this, I think my income has changed by $50,000 in a year since I started doing this work. Not because I made money doing the work, it was because I revitalized something inside of me that made me want to show up. And that is an important piece to this, because a lot of times our line in the sand, what we perceive as failure and success, is really just us. And being able to know that it's okay to take the next step. And that's what this does. That's the support and the nurture that this brings, especially when it comes to the integrative piece, because I do it in a group setting, because I'm asking you to lean in to vulnerability from a place of knowing that you have the power to create new safety. Yes, you're going to create new shit. Everybody's not a business owner in there. I've had people go in there and just like, I actually just want a relationship, but I know I have experienced this. I had people with critical illness in there that just wanted to start dating again. Mastectomies that were just trying to understand and just really try to feel something again from the numbness that they had after mastectomy. Being able to, is, you know, I'm a powerful human being. I create powerful spaces. They're going to be very potent, but being able to create safety, that is something, that is a gift that keeps on giving. And being able to give people the charge to know that they can create their own, that has been probably the most impressive thing about this, is watching women create and being able to know, healing, going into this really primal goddess state and loving from that place. How you show up in some places is usually how you're going to show up in the other places. You're going to do a little bit of everything the same way. And so if you're showing up in your most primal state, in the state of you that you've probably avoided, that you have been really working, or you've been having effort and force to bring nurture and love and motivation to those places, to get into a place where those things are flowing and you're experiencing your own power, like that's the experience that breaks the chains and the patterns of behaviors and get us to a place where that thing that you desire, it doesn't feel like an impossibility anymore. It almost just feels like, it just feels like a plan. It just feels like a plan.
I love this because so many of us think that we can't do certain things for whatever like logical reason, right? We use our brain. And coming from now as a human design, practitioner, I'm always telling everyone, you don't actually make decisions from your brain. You never make decisions from your brain. You can use the decision-making process to inform you, right, and help you through, and navigate things. However, the decisions come within your body, right? And so as you get to this place of really knowing yourself and knowing what you really desire, knowing what you really need, things just become so much more effortless and easy. And like you said, it's just, yes, I can. So because there's so many people who've told me over the years, well, I can't apply for this job. I don't have this or this or this. And I just have to remind them, there is a man who is applying for this job who doesn't have any of those things either, and actually doesn't even have the potential to probably grow into those things, but it doesn't stop them from applying for that job. So it doesn't need to stop you. Right. Just if you believe that this is where you could go, but like you don't hit all the checklists, You just have to trust that it's possible for you.
Right.
And you have to believe. And it's so interesting that when people allow themselves to just kind of go there, even if it seems like off the wall, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, I mean, I got the job, or, you know, and I'm always talking about, did you negotiate your salary? Did you do all these things? You know, things that women typically do not do. Like, I have some friends who are really high up in corporate America, and I always am so curious when they get their new job. I'm like, did you negotiate? And I would say probably 9 times out of 10, no. And these are like the women who are hiring people in HR. So they should know how the process goes, right? So I love this idea of, as you sink into knowing yourself so clearly, like so deeply, and from this place of like, I am everything, right?
Yes.
Like you said, like I am everything versus I am enough. Like I always say, I'm enough. I have always been enough. I will always be enough. But I love this. I am everything. As they like sink into I am everything, like you said, all of a sudden these different possibilities all throughout their life start to crop up, and they see the opportunities versus the obstacles.
Yeah.
And so I love that this is another pathway in which to ease into that versus like sort of struggling through it and go like, I know I should go towards my fear.
Yes.
Right? Like I'm going to go towards my fear. It feels like so uncomfortable, but this is such a more feminine way, right? Of just like, but what if I just am? And then everything just comes, and then it just makes sense. I just love it. I love it so much.
And that's what and the sex doula work that I do is around trauma. And so of course I'm always have that level of consciousness around something like this. And many times, like I have in my sex doula work, I deal with highly ambitious women. How you show up in the bedroom is probably how you're showing up in the boardroom. So of course you're not asking for what you want, or you're not saying stop, or you're not saying go in the bedroom. So no, you aren't negotiating your salary. You're not showing up in the boardroom, stepping up and speaking your ideas, because those two portals are very connected.
Okay, so everybody who has taken the time to watch this, Brittany, say that again. Like, how you're showing up in the boardroom and how you're showing up in the bedroom is exactly the same. So say it again. You said it so beautifully. Like,
so
hello, like I want like this in your head, like knock, knock, knock.
Yes, how you show up in the bedroom is probably how you're showing up in the boardroom. Those portals are very connected. If you aren't asking for what you want, saying stop, go, being able to identify what feels good and what doesn't, and be able to articulate what you want in that space, in the most private spaces, in the most intimate spaces, when you get in front of the crowd, you're not going to stand up for yourself. You're not going to be the one that presents her idea as her own and with power and authority. Not going to be the one negotiating the salary. You're going to be taking what you can get. And I think I don't know if I was talking to you or somebody else. They were just like, with my black face, we have a reference from the color purple that just says lay back and let Mr. do his business. And I was just like, and I was talking to someone else that was just like, yeah, they was like, I'm from London, and we call it lie back and think of England. And it was just like, and that's the same concept, that you're laying down and accepting just whatever comes instead of embracing your desire and really being able to stand up in your power. And that's really what I wanted to give women. I wanted to give them a sense of power where their voice means something, not to everybody else, but to them. Because I feel like if you're convinced you're going to stand up for yourself, it's going to be easier to deliver the thing. If, even as a mother, like you'll break some of the overwhelm of the children, if they're teenagers, if they're toddlers or whatever, of just being able to know that you have the power, that it's okay, that you're not, there's no mistakes and you're not messing it up. And that's a sense of safety and power that if women get to navigate in that, like if we get to navigate in that and work from that place, accomplish so much more. Like, yes, I have an expansive capacity to do a lot of things, but I realized I've been living like this for a very long time. And I realized that this is a foreign language for some people. That I decided that I was going to lay it all out there because I created enough safety to do that. So I talk about my stories. I talk about it all, just so that they can know not only have a demonstration, but have a platform and a place to go to integrate this work. And that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I so appreciate this idea of confidence, right? Because so many people don't really, they feel like in order to be confident, they have to have hit a certain hurdle, or they have to have, again, that checklist. And so this idea of just being really attuned to your desires, to your opinions, to your thoughts, to who you are, like knowing yourself,
Yeah.
and then just easing into that, instead of maybe how they've traditionally, especially if they're considered a powerful woman, right? They very well may be considered a bitch. They very well may be trying to be like a man in the world. And, you know, there is masculine energy, feminine energy. I'm not trying to say we have to have all of it, and we have to respect all of it. But sometimes you're stepping into something that is against who you really are. And so as you operate through the world, you may be getting ahead, but you may be like even more entrenching within yourself, creating more tension, creating more resistance inside, creating these feelings and that aren't really healthy for you as you're trying to move forward, showing that you are confident and that you know what you're doing. And so I love this idea of just sinking into your being and allowing yourself to just own your confidence with so much grace and ease and letting it unfold. Yes.
And this is, and although we talk about the healing aspect and the work, I know that the medicine for trauma is play. I know that, and so this is a very playful time. Like we do this heavy, gorgeous work from a place of lightness, just from a place of just lighthearted. We laugh, we play, you know, there's music, and we use all of those factors to our advantage. And like what you were saying, just like there's so many times like you're the powerful person and you're the, you know, the picture of success, you're that girl. And usually when I talk to that girl and that girl gets in my space, that girl's little girl is scared to death, and she is not really all that pleased and satisfied with what's happening. She's surviving, and then there's a level of ecstasy and bliss that her lived experience can get to when she begins to lay down. I chose to lay down the idea of an overcomer, and I laid down the identity of being resilient. I did that this year, at the end of last year. Part of the reason for that was the idea in my decolonization journey. I decided that the theme of it was going to be to be a better sister to whomever, to be a better sister. But I knew that started with me. And so the nicer that I could be to myself, the better I can treat myself. That's where it began. And so the idea of this resilience and, you know, being a strong Black woman, all that, I was just like, the hell with that. I'm not doing that, because you guys have made a lot of money off of me doing that. Corporate America, capitalism, the rest of the world, the shopping that told me that I had to have all these things in place to be right. Like, you guys have made a lot of money off of my resilient, strong Black woman identity. The time is in, because I am ready to receive, and I've tapped into my feminine, and my queen is ready, and she wants it all. And laying down resilience was the key to me being a better sister, mainly because resilience has become a socially acceptable form of repression. I'm having to repress all the things that I'm actually feeling, and I have to show up in strength and might and all these things. And I was like, no, really what I want to do is I want to be able to cry on camera and still be seen as a person that can, a person that's capable, a person that's capable beyond reason. And I want to be able to have my experience and have my journey of healing as a priority and still serve, because that's what true leadership is. And so when I decided, like, hey, a part of my decolonization was to lay down this resilience factor that everybody in the world has capitalized off, but didn't serve me very well, I laid it down. And that's an experience that gets to come with the level of safety from the experience that I bring. And I bring safety as an important foundational piece to everything that I do, no matter what container it is. But because I know that we have to fear the fear and do it, feel the fear and do it anyway, mentality. And we're jumping off the ledges and we're jumping off our edges. But the idea, I can feel so much better jumping off of my edge or jumping off the ledge when I know I've created enough safety and I have the power to do so.
Yes, yes. So I have one last question, and then I know that you have something coming up that we need to hear about. But so I think that a lot of people are going to be thinking this. I'm not sure. I bet I'm right. Brittany, God, you're so gorgeous. You are a strong Black woman who now has just blown my mind. I just don't know that I'm going to be able to allow myself to get super vulnerable enough to like take a sexy ass selfie, to like look under the layers of all the stuff that I've sort of put upon myself so that I feel like I have enough protection to walk outside in the world and be me. So I don't know, Brittany. I don't know that what you're offering is going to work for me. It sounds amazing. And I know I want it, but I'm scared that if I try to get it, I don't know that I can, because I don't know if I believe underneath it all that I'm worth it.
Yeah. I would say that if you're saying that, take a step. Not taking a step towards me, not taking a step towards work, take a step towards you. And I say that from a sense of that worthiness story. Whose story is it anyway? Because if it's something that was given to you and you inherited, I'm here for that. If it's something that the last relationship left you with, I'm here for that. If it's something that society collectively have left you with because of your lived experience in your body, I'm here for that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm laying down and tossing out whatever sense of readiness that you think you have to step into worthiness. That is just not a thing. I've never felt ready for anything. But I realized that you can decide, and you get to decide to make your moves the way that you want to make it. So of course, no, ma'am, my work is not going to work for you, but you're going to show up for you, and you're going to work for you, because you are the greatest gift that you can give yourself. And you've probably given yourself to a lot of other things that have worked. A lot of other people have probably benefited from your efforts, your love, your nurture, everything that you have given to this world, to this life, to the people around you, to your tribe. You've probably given so much, and it has worked. And all I'm asking you to do is turn this in on yourself and watch what you can do. Watch where you can go. Your story may be different. You may come into that container in an hour and a half. You may feel like a rock star and take off, and I mean, never see you again because you're that great, because that's how you're working for you. But you also may get to a point where you're just cracked open. You just cracked open, and over time it's gonna lead. This story is yours. You get to write it, you get to author it, you get to read it, you get to look at it again, you get to edit as many times as you want to. You get to do it your way. And so there is no sense of ready, but there is a one step that I'm asking you to take, is just to decide that you can take a step towards you.
Yes. I love it. I'm all in for this. It makes so much sense. And it's basically so much of what I love to cover with my clients. And I love this way in which that you are going about it, and you are helping women explore and experience and embody. And it's just beautiful. So will you tell us about this naked edition situation? What is this thing, this selfie thing? What can people do to find out more about this, to possibly work on this with you since it's opening up? Tell us more.
Yes, and so Naked Edition season 2 is launching today. If you're on my page, or if you're on my Instagram, which is _Brittany R Williams, you will find the wait list. But the actual scheduling link is coming out today. The experience, I call it body whispers, because that's what we're tapping into. We're tapping into healing our intuition so deeply that we get to unravel the wisdom that's there. And so that's what this activation is all about. uh, this group, because I think that you all are amazing and I love the energy here, I am offering the $50 off code for 72 hours, which is the same code that the insiders received. And so I'm giving that to you all for 72 hours. The link will be in there. This work is everything that I said it was here, but this work is most importantly everything that you show up and make it. And so that's the important piece here. And just know that I'll be there guiding you in safety. There is also a really juicy evolutionary part of this season that was birthed out of last season, is being able to support you a little bit more well-roundedly from the time you say yes until even the times after. So I really teach people how to take solo photography, how to take really connected storytelling photos. So you'll actually have a workshop in something called Just the Tips, which is going to be your bonus supplement for this season. Just the Tips. Besides it being hilarious, it's actually a supportive portal that's going to hold your how-to class. It's going to hold your workshop, your actual selfie workshop, the how to take the best photos, body work, lighting, angles, touching on all those things. We're going to talk about quick edits that can kind of still make you look like you. I don't like Facetune, but I was just like, I want to look like me, but I just want to look like me with a little bit more light, or I want to look like me without so much redness in my face. I'm going to teach you how to do those with like really free, super easy techniques to pick your photos up. And you're also, I know that you're coming with resistance. And so I am going to be there in that portal, helping you crown, helping you fight through the resistance. There's going to be, helping you support those lower chakras and that lower energy. There's going to be yoga, some poses that can help you. There's breath work, which is a huge part of what I do. And there's going to be a super secret, juicy integration piece that after everybody has gone through the experience in February, they're going to have a bonus session that's going to come out like to the people who actually sign up. And so I just wanted to just encourage you, if you have questions, contact me. You can reach me in all the places. Instagram, my DMs are open. My email is bliss@brittanyRwilliams.com. And I'm ready to answer the questions.
And we have that link up in the group, and I have the 50% or the $50 off code for the 72 hours from now. So, and I have in the bio here, you can see her, not only her beautiful bio, but you can access her Instagram if you want to follow her. Brittany, this has been such a wonderful time. Thank you so much for sharing with us and, bringing not just this information, but like the energy of it all and the ease and the flow and this whole feeling of, Brittany says I can do it. I must be able to do it. She did it, right? Like there's just this lovely, lovely energy. So thank you so much. We have had such a wonderful time with you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm just so grateful.
Wonderful. All right, guys, we will be back with another Tuesday lunch break in the near future. Bye.